Wendell Sailor here for PNGBet.com. Well, round 7 there was plenty of upsets, but round 8 we'll get into it and hopefully I can tip you some winners because last week, as I said, was tough. Okay, round 8 we have the Raiders versus the Bunnies. The Raiders, they've been out of form the last couple of weeks. They're one of the competition favourites, or they were, but they've dropped right off the pace at the moment. And it comes through their forward pack. Their forward pack haven't been aggressive enough. Teams have been rolling through the middle and their outside backs haven't been doing the job either. So they usually score freakish tries. Their defence hasn't been as good as the Raiders should be over the past probably 12 to 18 months, and teams see that as a weakness. But I'll tell you what, they're going to work cut out for them Thursday night up against the Bunnies. We saw the Bunnies versus the Titans last week. I think they were down 24 to 10 at half time, but they found a way to score points. And that was on the back of guys like Cody Walker, Benji Marshall. He just turns back the clock. I just love what he's doing. Really freakish player. He plays on instinct, which we don't see enough of at the moment. And big Colin Matangi, he's playing some really good football through the middle. So their forwards are doing their job and their backs. They're so exciting, the Bunnies. Where do I look to go on this one? Well, look, I think for me at the moment, with betting down in Canberra, I usually back Canberra, but I just can't go past the Bunnies at the moment. Bunnies are playing too good. I'm going to go the Bunnies here, 1 to 12. I think that's a good bet. Or take South Sydney minus a 3. Minus a 3, you know they can score points from anywhere on the field. So $1.68, take the minus 3, but also a good bet's $1 to 12. Get on the Bunnies for me. Winning form is good form, and it trails out for another couple of weeks. So Cody Walker is doing a good job back there. Well, our Friday night 6 o'clock game is the Storm versus the Sharks. Well, the Sharks. I feel for the Sharks because as soon as they announced that Craig Fitzgibbon was going to be their coach, there was a lot of air going out of what they're doing. Obviously, Will Chambers is playing in the centres for them this week. That'll be a good acquisition for them. But geez, the Storm. How can you go against the Storm? The way they play, such an aggressive style. And last week, Jerome Hughes, 4 try assists. He just did it so easy. No Pappenhausen again this week. He's obviously still injured. Nico Hines is doing a great job back there. But how can you go past his forward pack? Bromwich, Smith, Welsh. And then when you've got a player like Harry Grant, who's one of the best number 9s in the game, he's your number 14. I can't tip the Sharks here. Amy Park, you know what? This could be a bloodbath. I'm taking the Melbourne Storm minus their 7.5 at $1.89. You know what? I think that's money for jam. Melbourne Storm are $1.12 off the bat, way too short. Cronulla Sharks, $5.35. And they deserve to be every bit of that price. Well, we have here we go. The Broncos versus the Titans. Yes, I'm not ashamed to say, even though I'm a Broncos man, I'm very disappointed with how the Broncos are playing at the moment. Up there, the Northern Territory, they just rolled through in Parramatta. A try in the first set of 6. I think it took 4 tackles. They made a mistake. They rolled through their left edge, and it was a long night for the Broncos. At the moment, they just can't get it right. They don't trust the system. I feel sorry for Kevy because a lot of work to be done there. We know they've got some great players like Payne Huss. I feel sorry for Payne Huss. You know, he's averaging 200 metres and at least 30 tackles, but no one's going with him. So they're playing as individuals, but not as a team. And then look at the Titans. Well, the first half of that last week, David Fafita, he was on fire. 3 tries in like 35 minutes. But the second half, it just didn't work out for him. Ash Taylor's playing some really good football. Who do I go for this one? Local derby. I'm thinking, I'm going Gold Coast Titans, minus 10.5. So minus 10.5 gets you $1.76. I reckon that's a great price. The Broncos are going to struggle here, the local derby. The Panthers versus Eagles out of Bathurst. I love that we're taking some of the games, you know, to Mudgee. You know, you go to Dubbo, and this is what the country fans love to see. And what a great game. Panthers versus Eagles. Tommy Trbojevic, absolute star of the game. Since he's come back from Manly, they can't stop him on the back of Tommy Turbo. If he's not scoring them, he's setting him up, he's making breaks, and that gives his team confidence. So Cherry Evans is playing some great football now, and that's the confidence you have when you have someone like Tommy Turbo at the back. But also their forward pack is starting to hold their own. Young Schuster is doing a really good job. I know he's a rookie, but he's, I a wonderful combination there with that man, Jake Trbojevic. And I have a look at this Penrith team. How can you not go with this Penrith team? But no matter who they bring in, they do a job. Dylan Edwards came back last week, doing a wonderful job. That sent Crichton back to the centres, along with Matt Burton, who's an absolute star. But Luai does a great job with Cleary. Can't go past their forward pack. Where do I go with this one? This will be a good game. Manly, they're a good price at $4.30, but I still can't go past the Panthers at $1.18. So I'm going to take the Panthers minus the 15.5 at $1.93, because I just think winning form is good form. And I know the Tommy Turbo factor gives you confidence. I still can't go past the Penrith Panthers. That's my tip for this week. The Bulldogs versus the Eels. Well, the Bulldogs, it's been a long time since they had a victory. And I tell you what, so happy for that man Trent Barrett. I got to play football with him. I know he's a good bloke. And you can see the emotion of getting that win this year. And the Bulldogs fans, they'll be rejoicing. But you know what? They're going to do it tougher this week because they're up against the Eels. The Eels scored 40-odd points up there in Darwin. And I've got to say, Mitchell Moses, he's taken his game to a new level on the back of working with a guy called Andrew Johns. So if they keep that up, their forward pack does their job. Like Papa Lee here, he's been outstanding in the back row. He's been nearly the buy of the season, along with Nathan Brown. Reid Marnie controls the ruck speed quite well. But look, you can't go past, Clint Gutherson, Big Sevo, a hat-trick last week. And I look at this Bulldogs side. I know they're trying hard. Dylan Napa, he played well last week. Cole Flanagan played well. Will White had a really good game. But I can't see them knocking off the Eels here. The Eels, for me, minus the 17 points for $1.71. I think that's a good price. I think the Bulldogs will be brought back down to earth this week. Wow. The Knights versus the Roosters. And how refreshing is to see a young kid like Sam Walker on Anzac Day just do what he does. Plays football. Remind me back in the day when I played against a guy called Andrew Johns. Remind me of Benji Marshall. If he sees a play on the first tackle, he puts the cross kick over. It's refreshing to see these young blokes who get, I suppose, their skills coached out of them and play the structure, just go out and live football. And it's certainly working well for the Roosters because they're playing some good football. Everyone thought when Luke Keary was injured, that was it for the Roosters. But they found something on the back of Lindsay Collins. Angus Crichton's playing probably his career best football. And Victor Radley, they're such an aggressive sort of player. But the Knights, I can't get a gauge on the Knights at the moment. I know they're trying hard. They're relying too much on Kalen Ponga. But there's some good players in this team. Barnett in the back row is doing a good job. Connor Watson's playing well. Cy Feedy's playing well with Clemmer. But there's a good chance for the Knights at McDonald Jones Stadium to beat the Roosters. I'm not saying the Roosters are ready to be beaten, but Knights, they need to stand up and not rely too much on Kalen Ponga. Good price here, I think. The Roosters are $1.42, but I'm giving the 8 start minus 8 for $1.97. Can't go past the Roosters on the back of what their young blokes are doing with Drew Hutchison and Sam Walker. So for me, the Roosters are a good bet. Well, our Sunday game is the Warriors versus the Cowboys. Well, the Warriors last week, they were quite humble on the Anzac game with the Melbourne Storm. The Melbourne Storm, they just had their measure. I know they played well in those Anzac clashes, but Roger Tuivasa-Sheck moved to 5'8", and the young kid there, we had Reece Walsh, who debuted at fullback. Mate, really nice debut. He left the Broncos. He's a good young player, but now RTS, mate, you don't move a Ferrari. RTS goes back to fullback, and young Walsh goes to 5'8". This is a match they should win. The Cowboys, I think, have won 3 games now in a row on the back of guys like Valentine Holmes playing some really good football, but also Drinkwater. And Drinkwater he'll be confident now that they're starting to sign some halves, but so he's in talks with them at the moment, so it's a good opportunity for him to try and put the Warriors to the sword. You put them to the sword, and there's that new contract, it gets the dollars up there. Taumalolo, he's back, he's going to do his stuff, and he's playing some really strong football through the middle. We know what they do on the back of Taumalolo, but their bench, I think, is doing a really good job at the Cowboys there. Granville's adding that spark, along with guys like Molo and that. This is a tough one, but Central Coast Stadium, the Warriors play really good football there. Where do I see my value here? The Warriors are $1.62. Yep, okay, good price. $2.15 for the Cowboys. But I think for me, I think the Warriors can roll through them here. I'm giving the minus 4.5 start for $1.88. I think the Warriors can get the job done here, and I think the Cowboys will come crashing back down to earth. Well. Dragons versus the West Tigers. Oh, I just can't get a gauge on the West Tigers. They're so up and down at the moment. Just when you see them beat the Cowboys and you see them take it to teams like the Bunnies, and that's right what they did against Manly last week. They were embarrassing. It was, man, they scored the first try and they had 40 unanswered points scored against them. So it's up to the Tigers now. They can only dig themselves out of this. I know Madge Maguire's copping a bit of heat at the moment about his coaching, but I just think it's about looking the players in the eye, knowing that you haven't done your job. So they'll be a bit embarrassed. The Dragons, the same token. The Dragons last week, they were playing some good football until Jordy Pereira got sent off for the high Shilman Tedesco, and then Ravalawa, he also got in trouble. So they got some new wingers this week. Cody Ramsey comes into the wing. He was in centres last week, and Max Feagai, very young, very talented young player, but also Ben Hunt is back. So for me, at Wynn Stadium down there, I think Wollongong, I think you can't go past the Dragons. I'm taking the Dragons minus the 8.5 start for $1.76. I reckon that's a good price. The Tigers, they need to find their mojo, but they need to find some consistency. And on the back of guys like Luke Brooks and Adam Dewey, they've got to make sure that they control that forward pack. The forward pack have got to lay the platform, and that's when they can score points and do what they do. But for them, defence is the key at the moment. The defence was nowhere to be seen last week.